Well, we got our first real good look at China's invasion barges. This is out of the war zone. Our best look yet at China's new invasion barges. The interconnected jack-up barges form a temporary pier that could be highly useful in the invasion of Taiwan. Now, these are some of our first real images of this, especially being used. This is obviously them giving it a try. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into this here. H I Sutton does a wonderful in-depth analysis of what this is. But this is what it is. One barge interconnects with another barge that interconnects with another barge that has a bridge to the shore. That's one barge connected to a second barge, connected to the third barge. And we know this because there's been a lot of imagery coming out over the last month or so regarding this specifically. There's imagery coming from H I Sutton and a couple of other sources about these aren't the only ones they're building. They're building at least two other complete barge bridges, we'll call them for lack of a better word. So another 3 to 5 individual barges. And this is H I Sutton. Uh, 2 months ago, China suddenly building fleet of special barges suitable for Taiwan landings. And instead of going through this article, how about if we let H I Sutton, who is one of the best in the business, describe it himself?
But these new landing ships or mobile landing piers, they might not look very exotic, they might not look that sexy or glamorous, but they are perhaps much more significant than those traditional amphibious warfare ships that we just looked at. So here's a satellite image of them. This is published by All Source Analysis. All Source Analysis, excellent outfit. They primarily professional, basically. They're not just publishing OSINT or anything like that. Commercial intelligence. They did share this, and it clearly shows some of these barges being built. This
And there is newer satellite information that will be in the article linked from the War Zone. If you scroll down in this article, you see more up to date satellite imagery from Tom Schuttgart, and he goes through that satellite imagery. And if you go to his Twitter page, he goes through these photograph by photograph. He's very thorough. Again, with H I Sutton and Schuttgart, you are getting the best analysis that there is.
images from a few days ago, and you can see that there are at least 3 barges in the water and 3 so 6. In my report, I said 5. We found more. It depends what day you look at the imagery and so on. I think this is really significant. This image will come back to the end, but there's no doubt these barges are being built, and we've had a really clear look at them. And everyone I've spoken to is of the same opinion. These are essentially invasion barges. They don't have another purpose.
Exactly. These are invasion barges. They couldn't have another purpose. I sat and tried to think before I did this video. I sat and I sat and I was and thinking what else could these possibly be? These are similar to oil derrick technology with the jacks to level it off in the ocean, but the interconnected nature of it, and he's about to go into something that really points out why this is so important.
Let's look at them in detail. This is one of the larger ones. It has a distinctive road bridge extending out the front. When it's sailing, the road bridge is pulled in. But as it reaches the beach, that is extended. That is undoubtedly a road bridge, and it's also very heavily built with reinforced structures all the way along. Cantilever essentially, there's a massive A-frame holding it up like a suspension bridge. It is clear that that is for reaching directly onto a beach or coastal terrain. It's also no ambiguity that's for vehicles. Equally important, at the stern, there is a self-supporting loading ramp. This is exactly what you'd expect to connect to car ferries. China uses its car ferries and builds a lot of them to transport military equipment and support the armed forces. That's no secret. In fact, here's a still from a video showing just how many tanks they can fit in one of these. Western or other countries' car ferries cannot transport tanks like this. They're much too heavy. They can take a few, but nothing like what you see in this image.
So the use of car ferries, roll-on, roll-off car ferries, designed with the superstructure and the capacity to haul main battle tanks and armored personnel carriers instead of just your car, are what are going to be used here. Those three piers connect. The roll-on, roll-off ferries pull up, drop off, cycle through, one after another after another.
China builds its large roll-on, roll-off ferries to specifications which support massive, really large-scale transport of heavy armored vehicles in a way that no other country does. So Chinese ferries are different from ferries in other countries. And China openly exercises with them, pretty much an annual exercise, I'd say, where they take car ferries out of regular service and instead exercise tanks and so on. Here, this particular image I published a few years ago in US Naval Institute News as a Maxar satellite image. They have amphibious tanks, so tanks that are small and float, driving around and no doubt loading on and off the ferry. More significantly, sometimes those ferries have actually been tested with floating ports or harbours. This one is essentially what we would call a Mulberry Harbour, with a pontoon bridge connecting the ferry to the boat. We'll come back to Mulberry Harbours. But it's different from what is being built here. These are similar terminals. They are going right up to the beach or the coast. And they have their own jack-up pillars. These are sort of extendable legs that normally are folded up when it's sailing along, and then they drop them down to the sea floor. They can take an uneven surface, and they basically, I want to say, anchor or support it on the seabed. This is a normal technology. It's well known. It's used a lot in oil exploration stuff. Significantly, it would not be a permanent structure. These are barges or boats, and they are designed to operate in shore for a relatively short period of time. If you're going to operate them longer, you would need to support them with dredgers and things like this to make sure that the feet remain anchored on the seafloor.
Clearly, this isn't to be used in immediate taking of the beach or of the ground. You're not pulling this up to a hostile shore where you're receiving active resistance, active fire. However, this is also not to be put in 3 weeks later. This is once that you have a spot secured, you haul this thing up and you connect them and you start rolling them off ASAP. This is a unique technology. And as he's about to say in this video, it shows that the Chinese know how to adapt. Because we don't have this. Nobody has this. This is unique. This shows an adaptability that we need to take note of.
These are the ones we've seen built. There's actually another one, but we have two very large ones, 185-meter long vessels, plus the bridge is approximately 150 meters. That's nearly 500 foot. There's a smaller one to a similar design with only 6 of the jack-up pillars, and then there are 2 that are sort of smaller and wider with smaller jack-up pillars.
Plus, note that we saw these connected with one another. It wasn't just one. They were connected. Bringing that photo up now. It wasn't just one barge. It was multiple barges connected. Just love the sound of the wind. It's multiple barges connected. So when you see those large 400-foot bridge decks, imagine how far out to sea these things are. That's amazing.
I don't have a good explanation as to why there's these different variants. The best I can come up with is that each of them is designed with a certain beach or terrain in mind. It does, however, suggest that these are not part of a commercial project to build barges for some innocent reason. If no one that I'm aware of meaningfully is arguing that these are anything other than invasion barges, it just doesn't make sense. It's building a large number, 5, 6 at once. They're going to build quite a lot more than that. And it's a different designs. They're building them incredibly quickly. It is not what you see with commercial projects. It also doesn't make sense with bridge construction. It doesn't make sense with land reclamation or unloading, using them to take them from shore to ships. There are better ways to do it. This is basically about invasion.
And that's H I Sutton's assessment of what these are. And later on in the video, he goes into their inspiration is very likely the Mulberry Harbors from World War II. And the Mulberry Harbors, if you don't know, were artificial harbors that the Allies built and brought from England to the French coast because they weren't landing at Cherbourg or Antwerp or taking a major port themselves. In the invasion, they were getting on shore, and they knew that they were going to need a logistical port for large vessels to come in and drop off tanks, supplies, machines, equipment, men. So they built a port and brought it with them. And that is probably the inspiration for this bridge, this barge. We'll call it a barge bridge idea. Taking your inspiration from history, wonderful thing. And that was H I Sutton. And we're going to go back to his video real quick. I'm going to unsubscribe to H I Sutton. Unsubscribe just so I can subscribe again. And I hope you subscribe too, because if you want to find the best naval information available to the public, H I Sutton Naval News, that's who you should be listening to. That's who you should be watching. That's who I'm paying attention to. That's where a lot of my content is coming from, is from those sources right there. I'm just trying to condense it down and bring it to you in a way that is quick, presentable, and informative. So, we know now what those barges can do and will do, and what they're meant for. They're going to have roll-on, roll-off operations. I like this. I'm going to bring up this just to give you an idea. Chinese ferry boat pulls up full of tanks. Picture 3 barges, 1 barge, 2 barge, 3 barge extending out. That takes off. Next one pulls up. Innovative. Very innovative. And certainly a way to get troops ashore, equipment ashore, in a what will probably be a contested area, not a hot LZ or anything like that, or a hot beach. That wouldn't function there, but a quick way to get troops across and equipment across, that's thinking outside the box. And on this channel, we're looking for thinking outside the box, because it usually works. This has me, this has my eyes peaked. I'll be watching this story closely. They're going to be finishing up a couple more of these barges, and they've got two practice periods they're going to be able to use before all these barges are complete. So we'll be able to see them used and how they're used in situations like that, and we look forward to finding out that information. We need to be watching, paying attention. That's innovation. That's thinking outside the box. That's what we want to keep seeing on our side. Not necessarily their side. But we have to be aware of it. And I thank you. I appreciate you. And if you liked it, hit the like. Subscribe. Share it with a friend. Let them know the Chinese they're getting ready, and we need to also.